Hello and welcome to Bread of Life, a daily devotional program which each week features a different area pastor. Our speaker for this week is Pastor Josh Poteet of West Hartford.
To this point, we have defined a disciple, someone who is following Jesus, being changed by Jesus, committed to the mission of Jesus. We've talked about the mission and how Jesus models what it means to be a disciple maker for us. We've discussed defining the relationship, how you need to set clear definitions and expectations when entering into discipleship. And today we are closing our conversation with intentionality. See, there's a massive difference between being relational and being intentional. Just because you have people over to your home or you're active in your local softball leagues does not mean that they are diving into any kind of deep relationship with any kind of intentionality. Just because you are around them doesn't mean you know what they're going through, walking through, where they are, and what they need to grow. This seems especially true in New England. In the Old Testament, there was something called mandatory hospitality, where we would treat strangers in your home better than you even would treat your family. But in New England, we have something I would call mandatory hostility, where you say thank you at the grocery store and the person looks at you like you're about to get tased. Things are different here, but they shouldn't be. Relationally, we are meant to press in with intentionality. And I have to say, this starts in your home. If you have kids, it can be very easy to let things slip. But the problem is that your kids are designed to be discipled. And if you don't, someone else will. It might be the TV, it might be pop culture, it might be the 7th grade home ec partner. Kids are going to be discipled, and parents, you are meant to be the primary disciplers of your kids. Deuteronomy 6:4 says it this way. He says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates." I want you to look at the intentionality here. And this is the type of intentionality that translates into discipling relationships. Moses is saying, like, hey, wherever you go, whatever you do, I want you to play I Spy. You know the game where a kid picks something and you try to figure out what they're looking at. In the same way, God's fingerprints are all over the place. We've got the opportunity to look at creation and to look at science and to look at relationships and to look at the people that are passing by, and we can see God's fingerprints all over the place. And Moses is saying, hey, when that happens, as you see it, as you identify where God is, as you play I Spy for the King, talk about it. Talk about it with your kids. Talk about it with the people that you are discipling. Because when we see the spectacular in the normal, it leads others into life change as well. I want to give you an example. My daughter and I, we were talking about my favorite football team. This happened a couple years ago. She's 6 years old now. And we were talking about the Miami Dolphins. And if you know they are a poor place to place your hope, they let me down every year. And so the Dolphins, a couple years ago, they were caught for cheating. And there was a consequence where we lost some draft picks. And so I was telling my daughter about how they had cheated and how there were going to be some consequences. And she said, "Dad, why did they cheat?" I said, "Well, I don't know them, but probably because they wanted to win more than they wanted to do what was right." She said, "Well, Dad, why did they do that? Why did they want to do that more than to do what's right?" And all of a sudden, we weren't talking about the Miami Dolphins anymore. She led into a conversation about sin and about how she and I and everyone desperately needs a relationship with Jesus because we are broken people who fall short of the glory of God. Just like that, we use that as an opportunity to look for the fingerprints of God, to play I Spy and to point to something greater. And parents, you've got the opportunity to do that. Disciple makers, you've got the opportunity to do that as we look for the fingerprints of God, as we take seriously the commission that He has given us for our lives. We can seek Him, we can look for Him, we can find Him, and we're going to tell that to the world as the world is flipped upside down for King Jesus.
You've been listening to Pastor Josh Poteet of West Hartford, and this has been Bread of Life, a program to encourage you from God's Word.